Well, hey,
And now we sit down as well.
Oh, helps if I sit on the seat.
So
put your phone down.
go on to, if you want to share it,
Yeah.
go on to the page
Okay.
and then share post.
Right. Good evening and welcome to Rhubarb Radio Sport. Just trying to teach Alex how to share something on Facebook.
Work out technology.
Yeah, we all need a bit of a technology lesson off Emma, I think. But yes, good evening. Thank you for joining us. And it is unfortunate that we start with a little bit of sad news this morning. No doubt that any rugby league fans out there will have heard of the sad passing of Natalie Harrowell, a women's player for Featherstone Rovers ladies, who also represented England ladies as well. We pass our condolences from all of the Rhubarb Radio team at this point. I know she was very highly rated as a player and amongst her colleagues at Wakefield Trinity as well. And I personally had the pleasure of meeting her. She taught a little bit of PE for me the last half term. It was great with the kids, you know, very, very knowledgeable, and just came across as a really nice person. So on behalf of everyone here at Rhubarb Radio, and no doubt alongside the wider rugby league community, having seen what's been put on Facebook already, we'd like to pass our condolences on to everyone who has been affected by this loss at this time. So this evening you might have noticed that Adam's had a shave. He's not. We're joined this week by Alex.
Gained like a few inches as well.
And a few, no, I can't even say, and a few
Lost
pounds.
a few
no.
pounds.
Yeah.
That compliment or an insult? Well, you would probably an insult.
We are joined this evening by Alex Dickinson. I suppose colleague is the correct word, is it not? A colleague of mine and Emma's at Wakefield Trinity PDRL.
Teammate.
Teammate, that's probably a better word. Yeah, why didn't I think of that one? Who is also an ardent Warrington Wolves fan. So no doubt we'll be getting his opinion on a few things this evening.
I'll try and stay as neutral as possible.
I know that's hard for you, though, isn't it?
It's very hard.
Tyrone, please don't swear.
Yeah.
Who's
talking to me?
People say that, I think I've automatically sworn and not realised.
But yeah, we'll get some opinions from Alex on that, no doubt. And apart from that, you're here with the usual suspects, Ben, Chris and Emma.
Hello.
Good evening.
So, I suppose the big news this week from a Wakefield Trinity point of view, guys, was the announcement of the squad numbers. Have we all had a look? All had a little browse? Initial first thoughts, Chris?
Three things that stood out to me. The number 1 jersey has gone to Walker from the new signing from London.
Yeah.
Kermore retains his number 12.
Yeah.
Which probably is down a little bit of heritage and tradition. And it's interesting that
Hampshire?
Hampshire's been given 28, is it?
Right, at the bottom of the squad numbers, isn't it? Yeah.
Which I thought, well, I don't know which says most, because Kermore isn't going to really play that many games, I would suggest.
29.
29 is Mr. Hampshire. So it does suggest almost that Walker's got the full-back spot and Hampshire's going to be playing perhaps supporting role in either full-back or half-back.
It does seem to suggest that, doesn't it?
But what's in a squad number?
Well, I'm sure that's something that we'll get on to discussing. I think
It also might suggest that because he only signed quite late on, didn't he, decided he wanted to stay, that
all the club decided they wanted to keep him.
All the club decided.
50-50 on it by all
It
accounts.
It was a mutual decision.
they may have already given out the squad numbers by that point.
Yeah, very true.
So it could have just been, oh, well, you're going to have 29.
Or he might have just liked the number 29.
It might be.
He might have chosen it.
Well, you never know.
Although he didn't go for 66, did he? Like, is it Trent Arnold?
Trent Alexander-Arnold at Liverpool, yeah, it's a big number, that, isn't it?
Benny Westwood, 34 for the last 3 seasons.
Yeah.
He retired.
Yeah. It's weird that, because I always thought that was because he was about 34, but
No, he was way older than that.
All he made
About
sense.
52 in
Oh,
a
boy.
few years younger than me.
All he made sense for 1 year, didn't it? I think having had a flick through the squad numbers, I think the general consensus, me and Alex were talking about this earlier on Facebook, weren't we? Was the general belief that the Wakefield squad looked a bit deeper than it did last year, in terms of sort of quality depth as well, not having to dip into those youngsters who, while they acquitted themselves rather well last year at times, were probably asked to play a little bit too much.
Yeah, and then there's another one that's been given a squad number that our guest from last week will be pleased about, Ollie Greensmith.
Yeah, Mick's lad, Ollie, as Mick mentioned, he'd been training with the first team for a while now, and yeah, like you say, he has been rewarded with a squad number. I think when we've had a look at him just before we've come on air now, we were having a quick chat, weren't we, about whether we think that 1 to 13, as it stands in shirt numbers, is likely to be Coach Chris Chester's first choice 13. I mean, I'll open it up to the floor. Is there anything out there that seems a little bit odd to you? People that you thought should be a bit higher?
I agree with the man on my left that
That's Chris.
Who is it? Who am I?
That
We should have name badges, shouldn't we?
Kermo probably won't spend too much time on the field, as good a player as he is, and I've always been a big fan of him. He is quite injury prone.
And you'd have thought Kalepi Tanganoa would start in that role.
Yes, because he's
I
a
think
quality player.
He's more on the performance side as well now. I think he's been retained on the playing list, hasn't he, as a bit of a tip of the hat towards what he's done, and he can always come up and step in.
With that reintroduction of the reserve structure, he is exactly the sort of experienced player you'd want straddling that reserves first team line. So you're not sending a whole team of kids out for a reserve fixture without someone to look after them and show them the ropes.
I think it's a good call by him, to be honest with you. But I think you're right. At 12, he's not going to be a regular second row, is he?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just refreshing my memory here, and I'm looking here, and I thought Tanganoa, who's in 36, he'll definitely be in the starting 13.
I would have thought so.
Well,
he's showing into
if not the 13, definitely the 17. Likewise, I'd have thought George King, big fan of George King.
Still gutted he left Warrington, to be honest.
He was a Warrington fan.
Fantastic player. Really
Warrington fan, by the way.
Yeah. So,
just thought I'd point that out.
St. Helens fan, by the way.
St. Helens fan, by the way.
Let's get this down there.
That's not true, is it? Wakefield Trinity season ticket holder, by the way. Let's just point that out. And shall we have a little bit of balance?
But now King is a solid player, attack and defence. And again, he's only young,
23, 24 now.
Yeah, but he's still got an old head on his shoulder.
You have a question already from out there. Will 2020 be Warrington's year?
No, it's an alcoholic drink.
As the squad goes, it should be, but being a Warrington fan, probably not.
At least you're very
I've had 31 years experience.
realistic.
Isn't that Rhino saying this year's our year?
No. Well, probably in the sense that it normally is.
It normally
traditionally,
is.
but
when they had the team of
really,
world
those are well gone days, are they?
I can still remember it.
Bygone days.
Just about.
I think the Leeds smugness has finally left Edinburgh, though, don't you?
They're not so smug anymore, are they?
Yeah. Well, maybe that's a good thing.
Nice press box though.
It's a very nice press box.
The best we've been to, isn't it?
To be honest, it's a phenomenal stadium.
Yeah.
All around.
Yeah, and getting better, isn't it? Yeah. But I think coming back to the Wakefield squad, I think the one thing that, is noticeable with the signings that have come in, with the players that are coming back from operations or injuries from last season, whatever they've had, it doesn't look bad in terms of squad depth.
Oh, it's good.
And I think there's a massive improvement on last year in terms of depth. You haven't got the Anakins now or the Keegan Hurst, you've got quality lads like
Green or
So I always rated Anakin.
Yeah.
I loved his
When
attitude.
he was on the
I
pitch,
thought he was brilliant.
I mean, he was only chuffing 3 inch off being a dwarf, really, but
5'8" one.
but he punched above his weight every single
if he'd have had the size of something like Tanganoa or
Oh
like,
yeah, it'd been absolutely
he'd have
outstanding.
been an absolute
If he
killer.
could have put his spirit into Paulie,
Yeah.
wouldn't
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
that'd have been a right combo, wouldn't it?
That.
he? Yeah.
Yeah. Not 2 words.
but yeah,
about it.
he-
What I think is reassuring though is after last year they've not stuck to the same system.
They've made changes, yeah.
And that's what you want to see,
But-
isn't it?
and
When the
it-
season's not been quite as you wanted it, you want to see them make changes.
And as we've said, it seems like those changes have been made to address the main issue last year, which was when the injuries bit,
Yeah.
the wheels fell off.
They did,
But this
yeah.
is the thing that I think Chester went on record at the end of last season and said, we've made mistakes, we've sat down, we've looked at how the season's gone, and I recognise that I've made mistakes myself, and so we're going to learn from those, and moving forward, we are going to address these issues. And, I think hats off to him, and I have great faith in Chester, to be honest with you, although he was questioned an awful lot by the Trinity faithful in the North Stand a lot last year. And I think much
you're
maligned.
losing games, even whether you've got loads of injuries or not. Unfortunately, that is the head that goes onto the block.
He's in the
Yeah.
firing line.
So it's one of the downsides of being a coach. I mean, I know. Not at that level, obviously, but
It doesn't take much,
it
does
doesn't
it?
take
No.
much for
Do
people
you know what?
to.
To be fair, I don't think it matters whatever level you're at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but as we've obviously been trained under him once,
Yes.
and
yeah.
that one time, just the actual level that he is at,
The level of knowledge
his
and his ability to
knowledge
put that
and
across.
ability.
Yeah.
He managed to, even at our level and with some of the guys that have the disabilities, he was able to adapt within minutes, and that is no mean task. And with some of the personalities that are in our team as well, so obviously won't go hand in hand with some of the personalities that are in the first team squad. So, but he's a very good coach, and
Mick Greensmith has just said that Chester said last night they should have given the youth a bit more of a chance. They played too many players carrying knocks, and he wasn't tempted to field the young ones, but they should have done.
I think you only learn that by doing it, don't you? By
You do.
making that mistake. I think we spoke about it a couple of times last year. Young Guaze was
It's
it
a difficult
making
choice,
the
though,
bench
isn't
and not making
Yeah.
it off the bench. But I think to be fair to Chris Chester, that is something that we've seen sort of all of the top. I've seen Tony Smith do it. I've seen Darryl Powell do it at Castleford.
Sean Wayne.
I've seen Sean Wayne do it at Wigan, and you'd say no one has faith in the youth like Sean Wayne does.
Yeah.
I've seen Brian McDermott do it. I've seen so many coaches. When it comes to that situation, you are so tempted. It is so easy to go with what you trust.
And I think in the circumstances where they'd got their backs against the wall and they were struggling for a win, I totally get that decision-making process because St Helens, flying high, wins were coming in like that, one after another. It's easy to rotate and bring the young ones into a team that's full of confidence, on a winning streak, on a high, riding the crest of the wave. You can bring young ones in and they can feed off that sort of like environment and that scenario. It's hard to bring young ones in the circumstance that Chester found himself in with a struggling team.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a big difference, kettle of fish,
And at times it's a numbers game as well, isn't it? It's how many he would have had to bring in to adequately cover for injuries. I can think of sort of Leeds blooding Harry Newman last year. I know Warrington played a very young fullback for a few games last year, didn't they?
Flair Fewless.
He was about 17.
He was 17.
Yeah, which
He did very, very well.
Which is fine if he did actually. I remember watching that telly, but that's fine if he's the only one you're putting in. If you're suddenly in a situation where you've got to throw
You got to put a few
4
in.
or 5 in,
It's very different. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember going back a fair few years now. Warrington Leeds, and Warrington were in the same situation as Wakefield were last year, where half the team were injured, and they blooded about 5 players on that game. And this was when Leeds were obviously top notch, and again, some of the rest of the team had only maybe half a dozen games under the belt, and Leeds trounced them. And I remember someone saying to me, "Dad, well, that was clearly Warrington's reserve versus Leeds' first team." So, but it's going to be hard to blood players, even if they've been in the academy for a couple of years,
Yeah.
like 20. The difference between that level and Super League is phenomenally high.
Yeah. And again, it's probably okay to expect them to raise for one game.
Yeah.
If you're in a situation where they're
There's
having
got
to
to be
play,
a few and a bounce.
yeah, that completely different kettle of fish for them.
So,
than many-
Huddersfield Giants do it last season as well, though, with the seniors.
Look where they finished though.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the seniors either, though. Guys like Matty English.
Yeah, exactly.
But
And Darnell McIntosh
Darnell
played
McIntosh,
fullback for the
yeah.
first time.
yeah,
Young Sam Hewitt.
Yeah.
And you know what?
And they did really well, didn't they? But it's a lot of pressure.
The youngsters
And
made a
they're
good
not
impression,
mentally.
didn't they? But they didn't do very well as a team, did they? As the finishing position
Physically,
suggested.
you're asking a demand on a player who's not mature enough.
Yeah.
Physically, I'm not talking about mentally. You know, they might want to play and step up, but you can't demand that same week in, week out.
Week in, week
especially in the
out.
pack. Especially in the
Yeah.
pack.
Oh yeah, especially if you're a young 18-year-old being thrown up at prop, and you've got to throw your weight against Walmsley,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thompson,
Yeah.
Hill
Yeah.
every week, or the equivalent, Fafita.
Yeah, because most teams have got one player.
I'm
that you think-
6'6", 18 stone, and I would struggle week in, week out, because that is a mean ask.
And I think you see the comment you make about academy players stepping up and struggling with the physicality. It's not just Super League level. I went to watch Wakefield in, I think it was January 2018, play at Batley in a pre-season. Batley fielded pretty much their first team, and Wakefield, barring 2 or 3, fielded pretty much the young academy players coming through. And Batley gave him a beating up. It was men against boys
I
in
mean-
some ways. Up front, down the middle, it was in the arm wrestle. They couldn't hack it, and it's the physicality of it.
Yeah, and I mean,
And even if they're physically like Burgesses,
Freaks.
they matured very early,
Yeah.
but they've suffered with injuries and
Yeah.
repeated injuries.
Well, look
So-
at Sam now.
Sam, yeah.
Exactly. So
He's
you're asking a lot of
20
them.
year younger than
29,
me.
is it?
They just turned 30.
Just turned 30.
Just turned 30. He's a year younger than me, and he's had to retire.
26 years old is
Fielding
when a
too.
male body
Fielding.
will actually mature and stop growing.
But
Yeah.
I think you've hit a valid point, Chris. I think that championship shouldn't be disregarded as a proving ground for those young players. I think it helps them no end get used to that level of physicality. Yeah, maybe it's a touch slower, but the
It's just
physicality
as rough.
is still right up there. I can point at, from a Leeds perspective, I can point at 2 or 3 players over the last sort of 2 years who've gone and spent a big chunk of time at Featherstone Rovers and come back much better players for it.
Peacock did it.
Well, Peacock went to Australia for a little bit, didn't he? Played university rugby, yeah.
He went down to. Did he play for Fev?
Might have been.
About 10. Because he did a season with Bradford,
Mm.
then he went on loan for Fev for about half a season, and then came back. And I think the next year he won Man of Steel or something.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose the point I'm making is I don't want to see that route disregarded with the return of the reserves.
Yeah, I hope if he does return properly, it stays.
Well, a lot of fixtures announced this week, weren't there? Fixtures and squads were announced. I thought it was interesting. The St Helens squad announcing a couple of players who've been playing at Oldham and that sort of thing. One player, scrum half, who's been at Oldham, I can't quite pull his name out of my head at the minute, but he's sort of 32, 33, and they've brought him in with the view to being a player coach, much in the same sort of way we were talking about Danny Kermond at the top of the show, trying to give some experience to teams that I think we all probably understand are going to tend to be pretty youthful next year in terms of the reserves, generally speaking. So, squad numbers done and out of the way then. There was another piece of squad related news that Emma brought my attention to this afternoon, and that is the announcement of the Wakefield Trinity squad builder. Now, it took us a little bit of getting his head round and understanding what it is, but it seems to be a service where fans can look to support their team in return for their financial support, which I think stands at £10 a month. they will receive access to benefits such as cheaper discounts on merchandise, etc., etc. And in return, if they hit their targets, as in the targets for how many people are going to, I suppose technically subscribe is the right word, Wakefield Trinity will have enough funds to sign another first team player. I suppose.
Or maybe fund one of the players who are already there.
I suppose my first question, gentlemen, would be, what's your initial gut feeling about that? Because it's a little bit odd for me.
I agree.
I think it gives maybe it gives the fans a little bit of ownership. They feel like they're helping. You know, if a team perhaps they're not doing it because they're struggling for funds, there is that element when you get involved. I think that might help. Rhubarb Radio Sport, we could all chip in. Own a player.
True.
But there's that element to it. I think on the other side of it, if you're worried about what it says about the club's financial status, that could be another.
Even just the perception of that, even
that's
if
what I
that
mean,
is
it's
not
not
the
the case,
case.
but it looks.
Yeah, the perception of it, perhaps. Yeah.
I think that's reading a little bit too much into it, to be honest
People
with
do
you.
though.
I think they're tapping into every possible commercial avenue that they can at the moment.
But you've just said exactly the same
And
thing.
it's
Every possible commercial opportunity.
yeah, and why
For
not?
what?
You explore every avenue, don't you? And this is something that they've done before, and I think they found it quite successful. So they're reviving it from that point of view. It's not the first time Squad Builder's been available, and £10 a month ain't a lot. I mean, I've been involved sort of like in one way, shape or form at Ossett Town, now Ossett United for 23 years or whatever it is, and latterly I was paying £20 a month for a season ticket. I wasn't getting the time to go see them, but I just kept that £20 a month going because I felt like I was contributing and supporting in whatever way I could, whatever small amount it was.
If you then add up your season ticket, the £10 a month plus your Trinity TV,
I have that Trinity TV.
But
I'm a saddo.
it might be asking to pay out a lot for some people.
Yeah, for some people, but they're not saying everybody. If some do it,
there's only 500 needed to get a player. So
absolutely.
It's not everyone that supports Wakefield Trinity.
Absolutely.
I know most clubs offer a similar sort of thing in terms of a small membership fee that's not quite a season ticket that gets you discounts and things like that. So that avenue, that way of doing it, isn't completely new. I suppose the thing I would be looking for as a Wakefield fan is if it's £10 a month, I'm going to want a lot of stuff to keep that fresh. You know what I mean? If I'm paying that monthly, I'm almost expecting something new.
Your discounts
every
have
month
to be fairly decent and all.
Well, they don't have to be anywhere. Have you met most rugby league fans?
Yeah.
Right, so let's spin the question a little bit on that one then, and we'll do it from what we'll do is we'll do this from a Wakefield point of view, then from a Warrington point of view, then from a Leeds point of view. And Emma, do you want to be someone neutral?
Yeah.
Huddersfield.
Can I be Huddersfield?
We don't have many fans that are from
Alright, okay, I'll step up. I'll step up.
Hey, champion the little guys,
Yeah,
come
that's what I'm
on.
going to do. Yeah.
The irony of calling Huddersfield the little guys.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, did I say that? Yeah.
The Huddersfield
Giants.
Giants.
The Huddersfield little guys. So, let's pretend all four clubs are running this squad builder. What position are you looking to strengthen having hit your target? We'll start with Wakefield because why not? I know what the obvious answer is.
Currently?
Yeah.
Well, because, presumably this squad builder is going to be for a player for next season.
I know.
So you're asking me to predict with my crystal ball?
No,
we can only look at current squad.
Currently.
Yeah. Stop being scurrilous.
Sorry.
I would half-back or a prop, to be honest.
I think half-back for
Half-back
Wakefield,
for
definitely.
Wakefield.
Yeah. Reserve half-back. Someone with a bit of promise. I
Although Hampshire's presumably earmarked for that.
would have thought so,
Yeah,
yeah.
you think so?
Well, from a Warrington point of view then?
Another forward.
Prop, back row?
Prop, out and out prop. Big Samoan thing. Another.
Is it koala better enough?
Hull's got them all, you can't have it.
Yeah, exactly. another Aquala would be brilliant.
I'm a big fan of my koala.
Yeah, I am.
Weird big lump in it.
Yeah.
Just
You
runs
can't describe people as that, Ben.
I can't
To be honest, I think you
quite
probably take it as
derogatory.
a genuine
It probably
compliment.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird big lump.
Good proponent of the offensive shoulder charge is Aquala.
Yeah. The best kick return I've ever seen in my life.
That's the one we referenced last week, wasn't it?
It is, yes, yeah. So from a Leeds point of view, I think it's another what? Sorry.
Conrad Hurrell.
I mean, you probably won't be able to afford the food bill for the let alone another Conrad Hurrell. I think probably from a Leeds point of view, either a winger or another sort of prop 13 middle type man.
I think Leeds. To be honest, this is just my opinion. I've never really rated Stevie Ward, apart from the fact that he only plays about a quarter of a season.
Yeah.
But they do need the best ever loose was obviously Sinfield, and I've always said
that's a big statement.
I've always said Sinfield was always a loose, never a half.
Yeah, but what you've just said is that Sinfield's a better loose forward than Ellery Hanley.
Yeah, but I wasn't around then.
You sure? You're quite old.
You can go
He played in the. He
back to the 70s.
Andy Dannett took Ellery Hanley out anyway, so.
What?
Yeah.
See, look, this
Say
is-
that again.
Andy Dannett took him out with a broken jaw, didn't
Yeah, it was awful that
Yeah.
filthy. Yeah.
Well, Ellery Handel is what about?
Oh, I'll have to ask
50
you
now,
that.
so his playing career was 20 years ago.
Yeah,
In fact, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
he? Okay, so that aside.
Yeah, we digress. I take your point with Ward. I think it's a bit of a make or break season with him, and I think personally, given his injury history, I wouldn't risk him in the middle anyway. I'd put him on an edge where you can protect him a little bit more. And yeah, with that in mind, a 13, a big mobile prop with a little bit of ball handling skill, not unlike Trent Merrin, who's just gone, would be greatly appreciated. I also think, the reason I said winger, I could have said winger / fullback, is because we've not got that utility to cover a young Jack Walker, who missed a couple of games last year either. But I think Ward, not to throw the finger back at you, Alex, but I think he deserves the same benefit of the doubt that young Ben Curry has got.
Yeah.
And I think as rugby league fans, we've got to kind of hope that them two manage to pull themselves round, because actually in terms of a back row, them two and Bateman would be, I think it'd be outstanding personally.
You
if
step
they were all
backwards.
fit
Well,
and
but
well.
someone, what was it now? A fair while ago, someone said to me, Dad, I think it was on it might have been the last sort of Four Nations, but before Bateman, Curry and Ward made a decent name for themselves.
Yeah.
When they were on the up and up, when they were only about 17. In fact, it was when Bateman was still at Bradford.
Right, yeah.
So it was a fair bit ago. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Phil Clark, who said keep an eye on these three, because that'll be 11, 12, 13 in 5-6 years.
Yeah.
If they can stay fit. I remember you definitely said it for Bateman. He's easily the best second rower in the world.
Well,
Maybe one or two above him, but
let's say best English second rower. For
best
now.
English second rower. But he did make the second row dream team in the NRL.
He did, yeah.
In his
But what
maiden
do
season.
they know?
No, not a lot. No.
They're not bad at rugby.
Yeah. And then Curry, when he plays well, and when he's not
Injured.
done his knee,
Yeah.
again, he's another very good second row. I wouldn't class him as the best,
No.
or close to
But
being
potentially.
the best, but potentially
Yeah.
could be as good as Bateman.
There's not many with his skill set either, his ball handling ability.
No, he's I mean, he can play standoff.
Yeah.
And standoff, he played standoff for Ireland.
Yeah.
So he's good, but again, he's probably still got that in his head of, I don't want to be out another year.
Yeah, that's my worry with Stevie Ward.
Stevie
obviously,
Ward as well.
Having a couple of a couple of years.
There's
that
been a
have like
different
this.
injury for him each time.
I
you know.
Okay, so if you're talking about in terms of injury, Tom Johnson.
Tom Johnson. Again, he's only like,
22, isn't it?
I thought he was younger than that.
But he's had 2 really serious injuries.
Has he done?
That was
is
his,
it
that was
both
the same one
knees
twice.
now, or was it the same knee twice?
Yeah, and this one was every single, it's an ACL, it was posterior, it was both lateral, collateral and medial collateral as well, so it was quite serious.
Right.
Yeah, hence why he's gone for a year.
And I think this
It's
sort
got to be
of
on
thing,
his mind and everyone else's, hasn't it?
yeah.
You know, will it hold up?
And I think, you know, unfortunately, it is something that happens. I've seen recently Don Manfred is trying to make another comeback, isn't
Oh,
he?
really?
Yeah, I think he's training at Lee at the minute.
Okay.
Having retired last year following was it a 3rd ACL injury in
And
2
again,
years?
he's only a baby as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's only quite young, you know. Wigan seem to pull wingers out of absolutely
Yeah.
nowhere. So,
Mick Greensmith says he wants another barnstorming prop, can't rely on big Dave all season.
True.
Oh, that's,
He's
that's
another
what I
one
said,
that's
Rob.
injury prone with his knee.
yeah, and I think they flogged him
I
a little
think
bit last year,
yeah,
didn't
he
they?
played when he was injured.
He-
I don't think he's necessarily injury
He
prone.
played, he was walking wounded, wasn't
Yeah.
he? And he did it.
There were one game
He
we
played
did,
about
wasn't
4
there?
games on one leg, didn't
Yeah, he did.
There was one game that me and Emma did, and he came off the bench. Do you remember? And he took one carry, and he went knelt down in back play after that carry, and we just thought, well, he shouldn't have even been on the bench.
Yeah.
But then that's what you say, you bring your youngsters into it.
Yeah, and I think that was, to be fair, the point where Wakefield was still in touching distance of that sort of top.
Yeah, I mean he had a cast on at one point, and post match he was one of the players that was chatting, and he said that he was going to have an op, and then the next week he was back on the pitch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is crazy, really.
Yeah,
Which is a massive ask on his part to play in that state,
definitely.
but it might have prolonged the problem as well.
So, from a Huddersfield point of view, because it'll lead quite nicely into the thing I've just remembered I wanted to discuss tonight. So,
Go on then.
from a Huddersfield point of view,
I think they're perfect.
I can think of one position,
Oh, go on,
hooker, because he ain't got
they've
one.
not got any left, have they?
who needs a hooker? The utility players now, they'll be fine.
Yeah, I can just see, what was that, one of their massive props.
Oh, Akuma Tai.
Akuma Tai getting in there.
There's a hooker, what's wrong with you?
He's 6'4". As a very tall
You're
person, I
right.
know how hard it is to get to
You're
the
right.
out.
Ow. Ow, yeah.
When you're close to the ground like me, it's easy.
Exactly.
No, I think Darnell came on for a bit of stick last season, and I think actually, I know we talked about it.
They've got Golding now, haven't they?
You know, yeah, he fared well in that position, and I think he did a job. I know it's his preferred position.
It might be his preferred
you
position.
Don't think he rates there, but
He's a winger.
He's a winner.
yeah, and quite possibly, but he had to step up into that position.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
he did well in that.
I think they've got a good one in Golding. I like Golding. It's very unfortunate that Walker came through at exactly the same time.
Just as they gave him a 5-year deal, which I thought was a bit odd.
Yeah, very odd. Actually, without being sort of facetious about it, some of the best games that Golding played when he did get to play over the last 2
Was it
years,
okay?
he actually played a little bit of
Yeah,
hooker
came off the bench, didn't he?
Yeah, and he was actually pretty decent.
Yeah, he was.
So that's
Problem solved. Utility. That's what I said.
an interesting one to keep an eye on. But yeah, it leads into the thing that I've just remembered that I'd seen this week, which again, I thought was a little bit weird. I don't know if you guys have seen this. The announcement that Huddersfield, Hunslet, and
Oh yeah.
the one who was the other team,
No. I can find out.
it was
I've just seen it on Facebook.
it was Huddersfield, Hunslet, and another team who I can't quite remember at this time, but Emma's going to find it out for us. Have basically
It wasn't Dewsbury, was it?
Halifax.
had basically decided that they were going to form a bit of a partnership for next year. I believe centred mainly around the reserves, so that they could combine their reserves into one team, maybe as a costing measure, but also I think if that makes sure that the reserves league goes ahead, I've got no qualms with that whatsoever. And it would also, you would have thought, allowed sort of Hunslet and Halifax to access
Share some of the spoils.
so yeah, and some higher level coaching
Yeah.
and things such as that. Halifax, you know, very well run team, so
Yeah.
that will only help them.
For 3 years, and it's a groundbreaking partnership for player pathways.
Yeah, so it's allowing players through that, which ties in nicely with the reserves. It'll be interesting to see how well that is used. I know there's been a lot of talk about the reserves. We touched on it earlier because I know Leeds, they've been talking about sort of making sure that there's some Featherstone players involved in that. And also, actually, this one surprised me a little bit. There's talk of Leeds Met University students being able to play. It doesn't quite sound like the old days, Chris, where it was AN other on the team sheet for the reserves. But
Our boots will travel to know you gotta go.
yeah, is that the situation that we appear to be in? That in order for this reserves to run, people are going to try new stuff out. I mean,
To be honest, it's almost like after a long time of reserves being missing, they've decided that it's got to be the way forward, hasn't it? And for one, I think it can only improve opportunities for people coming into the game. Because I wonder how much talent is actually missed because there isn't a reserve grade competition.
just from the Leeds Met angle and the fact that they're allowed to play, you know, both Jimmy Kinehorst and Alex Walmsley, that's where they were spotted. You know, I think Tyrone McCarthy was spotted from university.
Just
wasn't he?
university,
Yeah. So there's definitely some there.
So, you know, if it opens up that kind of pathway that you were talking about, that I suppose spreads the net, dredges a little bit more and sees what there is out there, then it's got to be good, I think.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, I'm assuming that it will be used in some ways to squad players that aren't playing in the first team to give
Get back
them
to fitness.
match,
Yeah.
Like it used to be.
match
a few
practice,
years ago, yeah.
fitness coming back from injury, you know. So, you know, that's got to be good.
I think the university team thing is really good because you're almost saying you don't have to be picked up at 16.
Yeah.
You can go to uni, you can get yourself a degree, you can
Yeah.
get some qualifications in case it doesn't work out. But actually, you've still got that opportunity.
You're still going to
By
need
the
those
time my brother
qualifications
signed
after your
for
career
Leeds-
if you do well.
Well, by the time Ian was signed for Leeds, he had a degree in sports science because he did that pathway.
Rob Burrow, physio, massage, wasn't
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, my only question with that that partnership that has been announced, without having read too much into it, would be I don't really see how it's that much different to the much maligned dual registration setup type thing that we had, in that players could be here and there. I know people tended not to like it. I suppose the difference is maybe that players won't be getting parachuted into the Halifax first team or the Hunslet first team.
he? Yeah, last minute.
Yeah, but I suppose we'll see.
Also, it's with due respect to the academies, it's not their teams aren't quite as well. They're not in a proper league like they are the Championship, are they? So having a top quality player who is just recovering from injury, like you said, but still needs some game time, so he'll play for Featherstone, Halifax, whatever, and then he'll make the difference in that team.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden he's gone. So you've just got two wins there. It might be because of that one player. If he's a halfback or a fullback, very well.
Influential
Yeah, yeah.
position.
Yeah.
And then I know he's gone. And then if they don't have an appropriate player to fill, that makes a massive difference. Whereas in the academies, it's the academy. That's essentially what it's there for.
And you used to have a restriction on how many return
It
players
was
you could
2
have.
or 3,
I
wasn't
think
it?
it was only a couple, yeah.
Yeah,
I think-
it was 3.
And I don't know that this is commonplace, but I mean, one example I can think of where reserves grade will be better is certainly at Huddersfield. You know, last season, Sam Hewitt, when he couldn't get in the team towards the end of the season, he was dual registered with Workington. He had to travel
That's
up
a
and
red
down
track as well.
Workington.
3 hours, that.
And I'm sorry, but I felt for the kid because I'm like, why would you wouldn't want that,
Yeah,
would you?
it always baffles me when they do dual reg.
Wigan
with
have like
someone-
South Wales at
Yeah,
one point, didn't they?
Yeah.
To be fair, that's not that. It's a couple of hours, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
No, but
But
there was
Huddersfield
Newcastle
too.
Thunder as well, which Wakefield had players at. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, Bennett. It's not the best arrangement. So if there is reserves grade, that these guys get regular football with. Football,
That's
look at
fine.
me.
We can
Rugby
be,
football,
Rugby.
we
rugby
can be,
football.
we can be,
Oh,
we can
oh
be,
dear.
we can be,
Slip of the
we can
tongue.
be Australian for a
Australian,
second.
Oh, lordy, lordy,
Play some good
lordy.
football.
I hate
Footy.
that. But yeah.
Okay, we've got a comment on that. Some teams are doing reserves on the cheap, getting community stroke amateur players playing rather than fully investing in players. I'm not sure the Huddersfield Halifax Hunslet idea is a good thing because we're losing an age group from academies cohort with it being 18s.
Right.
Well, you see, does that hark back to you another then, if they're getting amateur players to come in and play? But I don't know. Is it amateur players that they want to have a look at with a view to, you know,
I suppose.
are they something
I
worth
suppose you
looking
could
at?
class uni players, amateur players.
Yeah, I think it brings up the whole bag of worms for me in sort of reserves versus dual reg / loans. Is the reserves grade going to be actually more beneficial than going and spending a month on loan at a championship team from a player? I get what you're saying in terms of if the games are regular. From a game time point of view, it will probably be an improvement. But from a standard of what you are playing against, unless people are investing into the reserves grade, that standard is not going to be as good. And I know from a Leeds point of view, it seems like they're still of the opinion that their players are going to develop better playing at Featherstone, at that level, at Featherstone at a good level,
Probably are.
than in the reserves grade.
It'll be interesting to see how it actually takes off, because I know it's something that some chairmen were very keen on, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
And didn't want to do it on the cheap. They think it's worth investing in, but
Yeah.
it's taken others a long time to persuade them around to it, hasn't
Yeah.
it?
Oh, he is.
So it'll be interesting to see how it takes off, and you know, it's something that we can keep an eye on over this season, isn't it?
Yeah. And I mean, we can probably all point to 2 or 3 players who probably at the time would have benefited from a reserves grade. So I'm thinking of your team, Alex. I'm thinking of Warrington. I'm thinking someone like Kevin Penny, back in the day, who burst onto the scene, was found out defensively,
The most hit and miss player going.
Yeah. could score a try but couldn't defend for toffee.
I remember one game, Kevin Penny, from a touch in goal, kicked the ball out of his own hand.
Sounds like something I'd do, right?
That was, thinking about it now, very funny.
Yeah.
But when you're
At the
when
time.
you're 20 foot away, I think we were behind against whoever it was, and that was your first set of 6 in God knows how long, and he goes like that. You're like, what's this guy doing?
But I suppose if he could have dropped down and addressed those issues within
Which,
the
to be fair,
Warrington
when he came back
system.
into the
Is it Swinton he spent a lot of
he
time?
spent a lot of time at Swinton and
Yeah.
somewhere else, I think. But then he came back to Warrington, did a couple of seasons, and he was a hell of a lot better.
But then again, are we making our own point there that actually the
Spending time.
reserves aren't needed? He
Yeah.
spent time at championship level, came back a better player.
Okay, so going back a little bit, Lexi says, do you think Craig Kopchak will be in the starting 13 or 17?
17.
Off the bench.
Can you say hello to Crystal in Iowa, in USA, please?
Hello, US.
Howdy.
And George
That's
Tonner
not Iowa.
in Australia, Sydney. Hello, George.
Hi, George.
Good morning.
Good morning, how are
Is
you?
it morning?
It will be there, won't it?
Nearly 12 hours ahead.
I never worked it out when I was there. Did I ever mention that, B?
No?
Oh, yeah.
Running joke.
Sorry.
Running joke.
Okay, Robbo says, it's slightly off topic, but is there any of the first round Coral Challenge Cup teams that you think might get far in the cup, and if so, who?
Good question.
That is a good question.
I'm going to need a list of teams.
Oh, okay, fine. I shall find that now. You carry on talking.
Yeah, I suppose it's hard sometimes. You sometimes forget that first round of the cup because we tend not to come in while a little bit later.
4th or 5th?
Yeah,
There's like there's definitely the Dockers in there.
Hull
Hull
Dockers.
Dockers.
Yeah, I think so.
Siddle.
Pato Heath.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Stafford,
right.
yeah. I think we've got to say actually that the coverage of it has improved over the last couple of years. I remember watching
I
a couple of
remember,
games, streams.
when Toronto first came in, Siddle gave them a right run for the money.
Oh, it were horrible, that, wasn't it? It were like
It was only like 14-10 or something.
yeah, but it were like water splash final, wasn't it? It were horrible. It were proper belting it down and muddy.
When I used to play amateur rugby, that was the
Is
best
that what you
games.
call a leveller?
Yes,
Quite possibly.
definitely.
I know. Thingy gave Wigan, not Wigan, sorry. I said Wigan 'cause Sammy Kabula were on loan there at one point last year. But was it Thato Heath that had a pretty good run last year? Got through to the point where
They
they
did
were
do well,
televised in terms of a stream.
Okay, so you've got Rochdale, Mayfield, London Chargers,
Yeah.
GB Police,
Yeah.
Edinburgh Eagles versus Ashton Bears. Now I watched them at the London Nines last year. They both entered teams. Lee Miners, Rangers versus Stanley.
Yeah.
Underbank, Loch Lane, West Bank, Royal Navy, Featherstone Lions, British Army, Alton Raiders, Normanton
Alton,
Knights, Barrow Island, Londa Outlaws, Pilkington Wreck, West Hull. I feel like I'm reading out the pools.
They need to be more drab and boring.
0, Thato Crusaders 24.
I
York
think
Acorn, Siddle, Saddleworth, Sherwood, West Warriors, Wigan St Pat's, Dewsbury Moor, Milford.
I'm surprised
Wigan
St Pat's
Jude's,
don't do better.
yeah, the normally the team
Skirler.
that does quite well.
Hunslet,
Skirler Bills.
or as Adam used to pronounce it, Skirlaff.
Skirlaff.
Hunslet,
Well-educated
RAF,
bloke, aren't you?
Bentley, Inns Rose and East Hull.
Right, so I think a couple that jump out to me straight away there.
All the ones from Hull.
Lee Miners are normally
Yes.
a pretty good team who have had a couple of players go on and play.
I was going to say, there's a lot of
level.
feeder clubs in amongst that, isn't
Yeah.
there?
A lot.
Um,
Wigan St Pat's, Lee
and-
Miners, Siddle.
Hunslet, I'm assuming that was Hunslet Parkside, or whatever it is they go by these days.
I've
think
played
it's
against a
Parkside.
fair few of those.
Yeah, that's Paul McShane's team, isn't it? Coached by Paul McShane.
Who's that?
Hunslet Parkside,
Alton, good.
Alton are normally good.
Brian Hall's former team.
Yeah. So there's definitely some quality in there. The cup is very fickle as to say who will get further than that round. I think from a sort of talking point of view, if we're thinking and we're nudging the nice people at the BBC in terms of what they might choose to put on for us to stream, be nice to watch Edinburgh Eagles, I think,
Yeah.
as something a little bit different.
Would be different, wouldn't it?
I think
They don't
Scottish
get
team.
much in terms of coverage.
I think it was the only Scottish team on there, yeah.
In that round, yeah.
Yeah, that's why we've got like no properly Scottish players. Only Dave Scott at Batley. Quiz question, pub question that. Everyone will know.
Oh, dear.
I thought Lachlan's Coop Scottish.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, Jackson Hastings is
Very
English as well.
Yeah.
Any more?
I think he had a West Highland Terrier, isn't that how he qualifies?
Quite possibly.
Well, if Austin can qualify for both
Portugal.
and GB,
Yeah.
and I know the Portugal story as well. His dad just knew the coach.
Right, okay, excellent.
That sounds like a very, bona fide way of getting into the team.
I remember,
Helps, doesn't it?
we are going off topic here, but I remember reading Adrian
We never
Moore's
do that.
autobiography, and his brother Chris, it was, who was at Saints, I think at the time, was a decent enough player, played for Wales, basically lied, told them his grandmother was from Wales. She'd never even been to Wales. And he still got to play. So I hope.
Duncan McGoldrick played for Scotland in,
Yeah, but-
in the World Cup though.
He's got a Scottish
If
name.
you've got a name like Duncan
There's
McGoldrick.
no Scottish relatives whatsoever.
Yeah, true. So at least he sounded Scottish.
Oh, did you?
So we have got a little bit of a draw to do, haven't we, Emma?
Well, yeah.
A very
You can
I mean,
pick out the name.
Okay.
if I can be accused of making the question too hard last week.
Yeah, we had substantially less people.
Only Canadian player ever to play for Toronto is
The Canadian
born player.
born player. Don't put him on the spot, that's harsh.
I didn't even know they had any.
Boo.
I can't remember.
Boo. Right, the correct answer was Quinn Naguati.
That was my
Can you
second
spell it?
choice.
N-G-W-A-T-I. Good job I don't do phonics in it. A-T-I. and Quinn spelled Q-U-I-N.
I was asking about Quinn.
But we had, I believe, three correct entries.
And it was for
They're in this
tickets-
hat.
Tickets for the Toronto Trinity doubleheader at York.
Excellent.
So you're going to draw a name then, Alex? Eeny, meeny, miny, moe. Literally.
Who is it? Way.
John Noble.
John
Do
Noble.
us a favour, Alex, just go show it to the camera so we can't be accused of being cheating. Well, hey, you've got the names back in that, have you? So, thank you very much to everyone that entered.
There were some incorrect answers, by the way. They were the correct ones.
That's right, man. What can you say? You've got to get it right, unfortunately. I'm a bit cruel like that.
I don't know.
Um,
Maybe we need to do a Christmas giveaway.
potentially, yeah.
What do you reckon?
I like that idea. Christmas.
Sacrosanto reindeer poo.
I don't think anyone will enter for that.
Yeah.
Maybe
Good
a
for the
gardener.
roses.
Yeah.
They could get to come and do some commentary with you.
Again, I don't think anyone else.
If you do expenses, the Australian contingent
Yeah.
might want to come.
Yeah, we'd actually.
Oh, we could go
afford
over
it.
What about a rugby ball wrapped in tinsel?
Yeah.
Me wrapped in tinsel? No. Rather.
Maybe we should, while he's not here, maybe we should volunteer Adam for that.
Yeah. Good idea.
Yeah. We're
So,
going to give away Adam
yeah,
Wrapped in tinsel.
wrapped in tinsel.
Yeah.
Enjoy a lovely
Answers on a
moment.
postcard.
Yeah, just basically just
You
saying
can
you
get
have
those
it.
clip-on baubles.
Go well in his beard, yeah.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea, that. Not a bad idea. So, in terms of rugby on the horizon, obviously having spoke to Jay Pitts the other week, they are all in the thick of pre-season now, which means we've not really got a great deal to watch and commentate on. So you won't be hearing much commentary for us in the build-up.
January will be our next one, won't it?
I believe so.
Boxing Day.
Have we got any?
Boxing Day, but I don't think that we're doing any live commentary for that. And then after that, Danny Bruff's testimonial, we're hoping to do that one.
Excellent.
And then first game is the 31st of January, isn't it?
Sounds about right.
Yeah, roll on.
Roll on.
I'm fed up now.
Yeah. I think we're all getting a bit of the rugby league off-season blues, where there's not enough.
And it didn't help with the disastrous international here. did it?
No, I think if we come away with a few
we
wins,
blocked November out, haven't we?
You can't remain on that high, can you?
No.
To see you through till New Year.
I mean, internationals do a lot, don't they? I mean, look at England football fans; they're still living off at World Cup. However many years ago now. Not the '66 World Cup, no.
I thought that's what you were referring to.
No.
1977, no,
Just
I
the-
was a joke.
They reached the semi-final not long ago. You
Yeah,
know,
that's what I mean.
That's good.
That's what I mean. Yes.
I
What
mean,
do you think of the Boxing Day festive challenge then? I'm just going to ask you that. Do you think that I've talked to a few people in two camps that I think it's a really good idea because it's tradition, or really bad because it interrupts pre-season?
it's a friendly, isn't it?
Yeah.
You always need a friendly.
I mean,
It interrupts pre-season. The fans won't be bothered about that, will they?
Well,
I
as
bet
a
if
fan,
you get
I'm
injuries,
not.
to be
fans
As a
that
fan,
think
I'm not,
fans
but there
that
are
think we
fans
know
I've
what they're
spoken
talking
to.
about. maybe.
Really?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I don't know. From a fan point of view, I've always enjoyed it. It's an excuse to go out on Boxing Day and go out with a
Watch
bit
a
of
game of
fresh air.
rugby.
For first time out, watch a game of rugby that you've not seen for
2
Months.
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 Yeah.
3 months. Too long.
And I think, to be fair, even when the weather's been not great, it's always pulled
Yeah.
sort of a double-digit crowd, which
Did it
is
snow last year?
more than.
Well, there was one year where they postponed it because obviously
It was
it
frozen,
was frozen,
yeah.
wasn't it? And the stands were too dangerous because they were covered in ice.
Yeah, the old South Stand was too dangerous, yeah,
Yeah.
and the Western Terrace, yeah. But yeah, I like it as a concept, and I'm glad it's here, and I'll be glad when it does get here because it means there's something to watch.
Yeah, so what about the correlation between that and fish and chips? Well, the Whaler.
Well,
Festive challenge.
Just a sponsor, isn't it?
It's not,
Sponsor.
it's not festive, is it?
If
though?
they're giving out free fish and chips, I'll be there.
What would you like them to
I
be?
don't know,
Sponsored?
like-
Yule logs?
Yeah. that'd be good,
Mince
wouldn't
pie challenge.
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
That sounds like an eating competition. I'll have a pound on for Peter.
I'd hold my own against him.
I've seen you eat, yeah.
I've seen you eat, yeah. That's very
I,
true.
for one, like the tradition of it. So,
I do.
I like
I'm normally there, although years and years ago, when I was a little bit younger and coaching some junior rugby league, we used to have a Boxing Day charity match, half football and half rugby. And the parents and ourselves would take on, I think it was the Boot and Shoe at Gawthorpe, and we would have a good old kickabout at football. And then I remember one year, it shouldn't have been played. I mean, the mud was over my boots, you know, but it was great fun. We used to love it. Still drunk from Christmas Day,
No doubt.
Standard.
you know, standard.
As long as you didn't drive there, it's fine.
No,
No,
walking distance.
Walked in his boots.
Walking
Trudged.
Honest scuff, yeah. So,
Yeah, we've got policemen watching. So.
I used to love that, yeah, very good.
Right. So we've got all that to look forward to. I believe, having had a discussion, how we on next week, Emma?
Next week,
Yes.
yes.
Next week, yes?
Definitely, and then possibly we'll be on Christmas Eve.
Possibly a Christmas episode would be nice. If you've got any ideas for a Christmas episode, feel free to hit us with a comment.
Santa's
Always
got some.
appreciated.
What are you going to say on his lap?
You're not going to be here for Christmas Eve. You're away on holiday again. So you don't get to choose what we do.
Christmas Eve, I'm actually back from Barcelona, but I will be in the Devil's Arse.
So many places I want to say, but need to remember we're live.
Otherwise known as the Peak Cavern, enjoying the brass band playing Christmas carols.
Alright, okay. So it's an actual place. It's not.
It is an actual place.
I'm glad you mentioned that because there was an overload of sarcasm going on in my head.
So,
So many instances.
Just thought I'd throw it out there and see what happens.
with that in mind, all that's left for me to do is thank our guest tonight, Alex. Thank you all
Thank you for having me.
coming.
for joining us.
I hope you've enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Have.
and we will see you all next week.
Next week.
Thank you very much.
Just really press the button now.
Which button is it?
We're still live, yes.